Hey guys, I'm Lee Taylor. That's the BMW M235i xDrive Gran Coupe, and this is a Right Lane Review. The death of the M140i and soon the M240i spells the end of an era for BMW. Gone are the days of rear-wheel drive hatchbacks with six-cylinder screamers, and the market wants something with style, all-wheel drive, and turbocharged tomfoolery. So the mindset of attractive performance has been assigned specifically to the M Division single-digit models, and the rest of the range is kind of evolving. M-performance models like this M235i have a weird place in the BMW segment, and do they actually deserve to be here? So before I answer that question, I do want to address the elephant in the room. Now, this car, the M235i, and its sister hatchback, the M135i, are direct replacements for a legendary car, the M140i. Now, let me be crystal clear. This is not an M140i. It's never meant to be, was never developed to be, never will be. That experience is completely dead. You can blame fuel emissions, governments, Volkswagen starting a hot hatch war in the 80s that's brewed till now, whatever you want, it's done. What this car is, however, is a direct competitor to Audi's S3, Mercedes AMG 35 models, and any other really swoopy, sporty, coupe-like small car on the market that, wants you to have some fun. And it's really good at being a stylish, coupe-like form in a day-to-day life. But when I think about the M235i as a canyon carving purist machine, it doesn't work for me. But when I think about it as a compact GT that you can really enjoy running around the shops in and tear up some mountain back roads, it makes a bit more sense. So don't get me wrong, this car is an absolute rocket ship. 225 kilowatts, 450 Newton meters of torque, all through an all-wheel drive system and an 8-speed automatic gearbox is nothing to shake a stick at. In fact, the best thing to do in a car like this is to look down at the center console, select Sport, and be on your way. And it goes. So around town, the M235i is actually a perfectly fine daily driver. It's nice and comfortable, well insulated like any other BMW would be. It's got a nice small footprint and it's super easy to park, mostly thanks to surround sensors as well as a nice clear rear view camera. And you also have park assist, which works in conjunction with the transmission and motor to brake and go on its own, completely autonomously, which is pretty cool. A couple of things I don't care about for a daily driver bit is that this particular model is a bit stiff because it doesn't have the adaptive suspension that you can get in the M Sport model. Beyond that, the seat sits a bit high for me, so I'd much prefer to sit lower in the car so I feel more cocooned by it, particularly in performance vehicle, but I can't really fault it beyond that. The stop-start system can be a bit clunky at times, kind of getting confused if you sit too long, but you can get around that by selecting Sport mode, which is my preference. That's what I've been driving the car most of the time. Why would you drive an in-performance car not in Sport mode? That should just be a given. Now when it comes to outright performance, this car would do everything you need to do, and probably a little bit more. So we're talking sub 5 second to 100. And the gear shifts are brutal. So this isn't a dual clutch unit or anything, this is an automatic. It's been tuned to actually bang the gear in every single time. So if you've ever driven an old drag car, you go from first to second mid-track, it just whacks your head back. This does that every single gear in Sport mode. It's fantastic. There's some engagement pieces in this car that I actually really enjoy. That gear change, for example. The fact that when you tell the car to shift down, it shifts down. It doesn't wait for you. It does what it's supposed to do. I don't like that it doesn't tell you when to shift up. So there's supposed to be a sports display in the heads-up display, and I have it turned on. But if I go down a gear, oh, we got a pop. But if I go down a gear, it doesn't give me any lights. Like, it doesn't tell me to go up. And at the top of the gear range, when you get up to the red line, it just holds the engine speed, so you don't actually get a pop or a bang or a pop off the top of the RPM. So if you're above 3,000 RPMs, you can get the car to sing to you every single time you change down a gear, which is nice. But there's some engagement pieces that are just missing. Like, the noise that the car is making is not the noise that, well, the noise that you hear in the cabin that the car is making is being made by an audio engineer. It's not being made by the engine, because the engine's actually quite quiet even from the outside. And that's a little bit, I know everyone's doing it, but it's not for me, really. I prefer a little bit more organic machine. And maybe that's what this car is missing. It does everything so well. On paper, it's a fantastic performer. When you drive it, you can tell it's incredibly capable. But it doesn't make your fingertips tingle. It doesn't give you any sort of passion. It doesn't have as much of a soul as I want a car like this to have. But to be fair, the people who buy this car probably aren't looking for a car for soul. They're looking for a really comfortable daily driver that can be a small GT car. So if I take away that purist lens, I suddenly have a car that makes a lot more sense. It's super comfortable, super easy to live with, very capable. And in the rain, like earlier today, even slick stuff, it gives you no problems. And 140, an M140 in the rain, ooh, a little bit dicey, that car. But this car is perfectly at home. And if you're gonna have kids in the back or take your dog out with you, you're probably not gonna be flying into corners like I do. So it kind of makes more sense. I actually really enjoy this car. I enjoy the dynamic experience the car presents you. I just wish the car had more soul. I wish it felt more alive in your hand, less like it was doing it because it was told to, and more like it wants you to make it do it more. There's a couple of cars out there that do that. This car's platform is available in the Mini Clubman. All-wheel drive, same 2-liter, same 8-speed ISO unit, same output, same everything. But for some reason, the Clubman feels more playful, more alive. Maybe it's the bits that have been programmed into the Clubman that make it feel more engaging. But this car doesn't feel as free. It's less free-spirited. Maybe if you're a mature buyer and you're looking for that sort of GT vibe, this car makes sense. If you're just wanting some fun, I'd still rather have the Mini. But that's not to say this car isn't great, because it's a good car. It's sitting amongst a lot of really good competition. I can't say to anyone at this particular moment that this is the best all-wheel drive 2-liter 4-cylinder firecracker out there, because I haven't driven them all. I've driven the Golf R, S3, and this. And I've had people tell me that A35 is sharper, but this is faster, and that would make sense to me. But I'm gonna have to leave my verdict up until I drive the A35, because at the moment, the leading fast hot hatch in my mind is a Mini. All right, so what's the interior and tech like on the M235i? Well, from the driver's seat, it's really nice. You have this new M Sport steering wheel, which is a little girthy for me, if I'm honest, but it does pretty good. And all your button faces are here, right in front of you. You also get BMW's new full digital dash display. It's a bit polarizing. Some people love it, some people hate it. I personally think it's a good display. It's just a bit cluttered. And then you also get this heads-up display as well, which is easily the best in the business. You get all of your nav information, your speed, your cruise control information, as well as your media all in one spot right in front of the driver. So I love that. So it kind of makes up for the main driver's display being a bit crowded. You also get iDrive in the M235i, which is still one of the best infotainment systems on the market today, and it's here on the front with this nice big screen. With iDrive on this car, you also get Apple CarPlay. Android Auto is coming to the BMWs, finally, but in this car you also get Harman Kardon as an option for the stereo, which sounds very good, very crisp. Favorite features are probably the wireless charging pad here in the front, which actually does fit a full-size iPhone 11 Pro Max, and this beautiful, seamless, frameless mirror on the windscreen, which looks amazing, almost like a piece of crystal stuck up here. It's awesome. And then, of course, I love a panoramic sunroof. So how's life in the back seat of the Gran Coupe? Well, it's a bit tight, if I'm honest. I'm 6 foot tall, and the seat's set up as if I was sitting in front of myself, and it's a bit tight. But you can still have all the BMW comfort and all the BMW quality. You do get a nice armrest with some cup holders there in the middle, as well as 2 USB-C points for charging, and finally you have aircon vents for the back seat on these BMWs. One saving grace for this quite tight cabin is that you have a really nice big panoramic roof, so it does brighten things up a bit. So what about out back in the M235i? Well, to start with, it's more of a boot, less of a hatch. So on the inside, you actually get quite a bit of space. This load door is actually nice and flat, but you do have 2 settings. So you can push the load floor up, and you have so much more space on the inside, and the seats also go all the way down. Now, you don't get any spare tire with this car, unfortunately, because you have run flats. So what's the tops, bottoms, and final verdict on this M235i Gran Coupe? Well, a couple things on the bottom. So it holds a premium over its sister, the M135i hatchback, though they share pretty much all of their components minus the hatch. And there's some cars within the BMW range, many, that do the same exact thing in a completely different package. And it's not an M140. For some people, that would be on bottom. So on the top, well, it's not an M140i, and that's kind of the point. It's a very confident and competent daily driver. You can actually have quite a bit of fun with it in the back roads as well. Its build quality is typical BMW, so everything feels fantastic. It looks fantastic, particularly in this coupe form. On the inside, you have so much new tech, beautiful heads-up display, and iDrive, which is one of the best infotainment systems on the market. So what's my final verdict on the BMW M235i Gran Coupe? Well, if style, comfort, technology, and speed are high on your list, this car has it in droves. If you're after a more pure driving experience, there might be some better options out there for you, maybe a proper M car. But as a daily driver, this is all the car you're ever gonna need, plus some. Oh, it also doesn't have any oh shit handles. So if you have mates that scare easy,